up in the actual stream and see if anybody comes by. It's Tuesday. I don't really know how many people are going to be present on a Tuesday, but we'll see. We'll see how many people come by and hang out. So it's up on, it says it's live. Let me go to my channel and see if it's going out properly. If it is, then it is. If it's not, then better luck next week, I guess. I don't know. Definitely wanted to use this Chainsaw Man spread though. Like, Denji looks so badass. I love it. I love Chainsaw Man and the art. Man, he looks so damn cool. And it's actually not even that much of a upgrade in total. Like, he got bigger. He got an extra set of arms. I think obviously mostly the rest of his body's like covered in comparison to like his normal form. But anyway, let's see. That's not. It says I'm live. Maybe just nobody's around right now. It is Tuesday, so I don't know. Maybe I'll skip stream this week. Is anybody here? Anybody coming by to hang out? I haven't put out a tweet or anything yet, so I don't know how well this will do. It's an odd time to do it, like early afternoon on a Tuesday. But what's up, Zy Guy? How's it going? I'm gonna link the stream. I'll just do a quick post on the Twitter. I'll just put like weekly stream on a Tuesday, and then I'll just put in the hashtags and stuff. Let's see, Fairy Tail, Eden Zero, Black Clover, Chainsaw Man, Jujutsu Kaisen. Oh, I forgot. How did I went right to Jujutsu Kaisen, Black Clover, Chainsaw Man. Those are pretty much the ones I most solidly do. Oh, somebody's attacking me in my game. I'm just trying to walk here. I was trying to set up stuff so I can multitask, so I can talk and play at the same time. But yeah, I'll check and see. I gotta post it. I got rudely interrupted by this guy. Anyway, I don't want to fight him. I got games to play. I don't have time to be fucking around. There we go. This guy's dead. Shouldn't have fucked with me. But anyway, let's see. I posted it up. I even put in the hashtags, and then I will hopefully get some people to come by and come hang out. I mean, it was a weird decision. I meant to stream on yesterday, on Monday, and then I'm trying to work out a new scheme. I wanted to try out Tuesday because I might make Tuesday my day, but I don't think Tuesday's as good of a time as like early Saturday. I'm probably gonna stick with my Saturday. Actually, you noticed the angel hierarchy thing in Black Clover, or do you mean in Chainsaw Man? Which series? I'm curious, what game are you playing? Oh, I'm playing World of Warcraft. I was trying really hard to get to an old raid, and some dude attacked me. I wasn't even bothering him. But yeah. What's up with you guys? How's everyone going on a nice Tuesday? Like I said, I'm trying right now to set up my work a new work schedule, and if so, like I won't really be working Tuesdays. And I'm hoping that I can actually utilize that on a regular basis to actually be good. Because there's a couple videos I've been meaning to do over the last few days. I've just been really lazy. I'm gonna try and do one of them. I want to do one explaining like how Alderaan like was defeated, and obviously, because I don't think a lot of people paid as much of attention when it comes to like certain aspects about like how he got his power and how his abilities worked. And I think that would just be like a nice, quick, hey, did you catch this? Refer to this if somebody didn't get like a scene or something. I don't know, I think it'd be good. Been a while. Rax, what's up? Anime Vortex, what's up? Guillotine. And Chainsaw Man? Oh, yeah, so those were, some of Makima's, like, people, the people she was naming. I know, like, Seraphim, like, I know that, I don't think Power is any reference to an angel, but I'm pretty sure Seraphim is, though. I don't know, though. Either way, though, Makima is a complete mystery. Makima is such a very weird character. I really like her. I'm hoping that we can find out soon what makes the chainsaw so special that everybody wants the chainsaw. Like, I get like in hell, like maybe the chainsaw was just really powerful or something, but I think he has to have some form of bigger purpose, some form of bigger kind of like setup of exactly what his role is in the world. Like I don't know, because maybe there's less devils than there was at one point, because like maybe the chainsaw back in hell, because of the whole thing where you remember the sound of the chainsaws. That was what like the angel was talking about. Maybe he's not killing many people in hell, so the amount of devils that came over weren't the same or something, and Makima wants to restore like a balance kind of situation. I don't know. It's definitely a really weird setup right now, and obviously like we got to know why the Gun Devil wanted Denji, but it's a really good mystery right now. But I really want to know at least a hint. We don't need the full lore, but I would like to get something of like. Maybe like a title to Chainsaw Head, or somebody commenting on Pochita rather than Denji, just commenting on something with the chainsaw. What's up, Robin? How's it going? How's everyone doing today? Reading the Yozakura. I still haven't read that yet. I'm trying to read Kaiju number 8, like halfway through, and then I'll probably get onto that Yozakura series. It looks interesting. I've heard good things, so I'm probably gonna like check that out relatively soon. Definitely want to check that out. I'm actually waiting, like, I'm surprised the Eden Zero fan translations didn't come out yesterday. And then obviously, like, oh, wait, it looks like it just came out. So I'll review that right after the stream. I've had the anticipation, if I did the stream today, which I meant to do it yesterday, but I completely forgot. So I'm doing it today. I don't want to miss out on the stream this week. So I decided, I'll just do it today, see who shows up, see who hangs out, and see what's going on. And then if chapters come out during the time that I'm doing the video, then I'll just do the reviews afterwards. I mean, I could still try and read them like mid-stream if anybody would want me to maybe get like a closer live reaction. But for the most part, like it would still be separate from the review. But I mean, I guess if this happened though during stream, if someone wants to, I'll read it, but it wouldn't. I'm not going to put it up on screen. You just hear my voice. Responding to it. Have I read Kaiju number 8? I'm like halfway. I'm like chapter 4 or 5. I got like to the part where they're gonna fight some kaiju, but I mean it's interesting so far. I mean the fact the main character is like he's like starts out like 32 is already it's already like a different setting, or at least a different main character rather to do. And I always really liked the whole kaiju kind of setup, like all these big monsters and stuff. I think it's just always one of those things in Japan that is, it's got a long history within their medium of entertainment, in fiction and, all the different Godzilla movies, obviously, and like Gamera and stuff. So it was always weird to me there weren't any like really big kaiju like manga and stuff. I mean, maybe this will do well. I heard it got its schedule updated, so instead of bi-weekly, it's like 3 chapters and then a week break and then 3 chapters, and it's just going to continue on that, give them a week off every now and then. I actually really like I got used to the bi-weekly status for Fairy Tail, and I'm like, it's obviously gives Mishima more room to do stuff, and in all honesty, like, I think it's only the first few days after a chapter comes out that it's kind of rough, because, like, I'm just thinking right now, because it's usually Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but like Friday, I'm not thinking nearly as much about the chapter because I'm thinking about, it's Friday, I can do weekend stuff, not have to work, sleep, and then games and focus on other things. And then Shonen Jump comes out on Sundays, do that for like a day or so, and then by that time that's over, it's like, it's already Tuesday, we're already halfway through, and then you just do that again, and then new chapters. And I don't know, I think I get used to it. And I'm hoping that more mangaka that like maybe like Kubo, if Kubo will like continue Burn the Witch either monthly or bi-weekly, I think that would really work. I don't know. It right now it's just it's a possibility, but it's not. It's not nearly so much as like a guarantee. I do have my suspicions though for Burn the Witch based off of the fact that like the number of pages each chapter is like monthly length. And it would feel really weird to me if Kubo had all this new like character establishment and getting all this kind of like different like world build up for this branch of the Soul Society, just to end the series at 4 chapters and do nothing with it. I know. I feel like at the very least he'll do a I feel like at the very least he'll do a novel, like a continuation. But like I just have this feeling that he's gonna go monthly, just because I think it would be the best fitting for him, especially now. Like, you know, he's got like the hurt shoulder and stuff, but he wants to do manga. So I don't know. I've always thought that would just make sense for Kubo. Does anyone else agree with me on this? But I don't know. I think Kubo, I think he would fit really well into it. I think the different style, but plus like he would be able to keep up his art, and then I think he would have way more breaks. I mean, with only double the chapter of pages, especially with Kubo, because Kubo likes to do a lot of more. He likes to do a lot of very big visual pages and like spreads, and sometimes he'll do just chapters that have such little dialogue because it's more about laying the scene than anything else. And I think it'd be very beneficial to him. I think it would work very well for like Kubo. But we'll see. I mean, it's definitely something I think is on the table, and it's definitely something I feel like a lot of people would be very happy with. Because I don't think anybody wants to see Kubo go. It sucks if he goes again. Gun might have been a dog used to attack Pochita. Also, my theory... So, one thing is I was talking to somebody, because I got somebody recently into Chainsaw Man, and he was talking about, like, having similar vibes to Tokyo Ghoul, and he was talking about maybe inspiration. But Fujimoto's inspiration is, like, entirely off of, like, movies and different films and cinema, from what I've noticed. And one character that I think is a very strong possibility, Ash Williams from Evil Dead, has a lot of similarities to Denji, especially the fact that he doesn't come off like a normal main character would be, but he's still able to perform and do good things because even at the core of it all, he still wants to, you know, he's still fighting these bad guys and these monsters and stuff and doing what he can. So I think that maybe that is part of it, because like I said, personality-wise, but like also the main character has a chainsaw arm and his other weapon is a shotgun. So I've always wondered, like, is this like a is this like a hint? Like maybe Pochita and the Gun Devil were friends back in hell, or at least allies, and you know something happened. You know, we haven't figured out the plot reasons yet that put Pochita in the role that he's at. You know, and obviously he was hurt at the beginning of the series. We know that, like he had the wounds that do look like bullet wounds. I think that's definitely something to really note when you look at Pochita in the early areas of Chainsaw Man. But it's definitely a strong possibility. And I don't know, I think the combination of like what the author is like versus like what the author, I think as but like the potential source and then where it could lead to, I think is really I think a pretty decent factor. One second, I had to message somebody really quick. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a really good spot for where it could be. And if you've never watched Evil Dead, like, first off, I would recommend it. But like the movies, you got to start with the movies, the original 3, and then you get to the show, and then you'd understand what I mean. Like, it has a lot of a similar tone than Chainsaw Man. It just plays more on the sadness, whereas like the more of it, the show, it, you know, depicts more towards the comedy a lot of the time. But it's still where it comes out of, and like the world inspiration. I think it fits. Rex, did you get Tony Hawk Pro? No, I didn't play those games a lot when I was a kid. Like, I liked them, but I don't have the same nostalgia kind of like hopes that I think a lot of people do. I wouldn't be good at it. I'd get my ass kicked. You know, I could probably do like a couple moves, but then everybody else is probably going to be way better, and then I'm just going to be embarrassed. I don't know. I don't think I'm playing World of Warcraft now. Actually, that Mario combo game that just got shown, I'm going to play that. It's got Super Mario 64. Like, that's a 10 out of 10 game. Like, Super Mario 64 is definitely, like, one of the games. That's just such a timeless one too. I love it. Yeah, I really like Kubo as well. Was Ash popular in Japan? I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if Fujimoto revealed, like, if he said, what series would be your biggest inspiration for Chainsaw Man? And he said Evil Dead. I think it would make a lot of sense, especially with the level of gore that he goes towards, the very 80s vibes that Fujimoto clearly, I think Fujimoto very clearly gets a lot of the way that he writes his style out of, or at least for action, and a lot of the tone for Chainsaw Man. But I don't know. It's still really good. Rex, how powerful is the Chainsaw Man universe? I mean, I don't really entirely know yet. Like, the closest we've had is, like, for crazy things is it looked like the Hell Devil messed with some of the paneling, which is pretty meta. But that might have just been how that scene was, and maybe he's not really as powerful as I thought he was, like, based off of the last chapter, considering this is supposedly him. I don't know if it's supposed to be, like, a weaker version of him, but it's still supposed to be him, and I don't know. We still haven't seen the full level that he can put out. Like, I'll be surprised if the Gun Devil, or sorry, not the Gun Devil, if the Hell Devil is done. Like, I feel like he's just gonna heal, and then, him and Denji are gonna keep fighting in this next chapter. But I could be, I don't know, I feel like I'm right on that one. But, because normally, like, I try not to, like, guess too much when it comes to Fujimoto, just because it's very difficult to, like, predict a crazy person. But I feel like if Denji is not, like, if Denji's already won, then it's almost going to be like, well, what's left for him? Like, I feel like the Hell Devil needs to be his opponent for this next part. Because, like I said, if they take down the Hell Devil already, then, like, what's stopping Denji? What is really going to be, like, his adversary right now and his opponent is Inner Cell? I mean, you could do some form of, like, inner battle thing, but still, I don't know. I don't think it could really work the same if Denji isn't right now getting to show off his new form, getting to flex. And it would make more sense if the Hell Devil, like, was contending with him rather than just done already. Because none of the big devils we've seen so far have been, like, fully gone. We're gonna see him again. Like, we're gonna see the Gun Devil again. We're gonna see the Darkness Devil again. Like, I don't feel like the Hell Devil is all the way out of the way. The only way Hinata would know about Celine is through the White Mage, since she was being used and will want revenge. Yeah, I talked about this a little bit. I think she's going to sell out the Celine in the hopes of getting revenge against her. But also, clearly at the end of the chapter, from what my translation abilities are pretty rough. Like, definitely not good enough to really kind of, like, if I read through and gave a translation, to where I would be like, oh yeah, this is going to happen. It looked like she was talking something about, like, not having, like, turned enough things white, but also the fact that she was worried about Celine. She was saying something about the moon. I'm hoping we get her name. Like, I really want to know what her damn name is. I really want to know what her name is supposed to be. Like, I can't just be calling her the White Witch or the White Wizard, the White Mage forever. I like White Wizard. I think it just rolls off the tongue a little bit cooler. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely something that I'm very impatient for. But at the same time, I'm, like, talking about patience for the current state of where we're at in the manga. I don't know. I think I've gotten used to the bi-weekly, especially also, like, when you have Eden Zero. Like, every week, it's not the same series, but it does have that, like, Mishima style, so you still can get a little bit of that fix, and it gives a little bit of nostalgia too, especially when I've been going back and watching and reading a lot of old fairy tale stuff. So definitely been fun there too. Rex, did you already read that one? Tony Hawk. I don't know who this one's at. I thought the door having Denji's dad was kind of underwhelming. Also, it was supposed to be, like, the reveal of how, like, Denji and everything that we've known so far about his dad was really a lie, and it didn't have to be big because it was big to Denji, and you can understand, like, what somebody's just going to bury, like, deep into their mind. And even if it's not some crazy 4D, like, mega turn and twist, it's big for Denji, and that's the big thing. Like, he has this this thing about his dad that he'd been buried, like, deep down in his mind for years, and clearly it was something he didn't ever want to think about. It clearly done a lot to him, and I think that's more important. It's pretty wild. How long do you think Chainsaw Man will last? So Fujimoto said the Gun Devil, like, the whole Gun Devil, like, arc was, like, at least a third. He said it was going to be one of three, so we're probably around a third of the way done for Chainsaw Man, I think it's safe to say, unless he extends it out. So probably around 240 chapters, 250, maybe 300 if Fujimoto decides to kind of extend it. I think he will. I think when the anime comes out, like, when Chainsaw Man gets an anime, I think it's going to blow the hell up. I think Chainsaw Man is going to get huge as long as they have a good animation studio. Like, the only way I can see that Chainsaw Man anime flopping is, like, if they do a lot of censorship or if they have a bad studio. And, you can still do the Chainsaw Man gore. I mean, like, literally you can just change the color of the blood to blue or something and still get the same effect. And just be like, oh, this is because it's devil blood or something. And just kind of work with that. White Mage turns good and reforms. I'm alright with her becoming good in the end. But the one thing that I would like to see from her getting back up is I'd either like to see her own crew. I'd like to see Rebellious and like maybe see some of like the unique members to her group and not just brain controlled people. Or I'd like to see her kind of join the main cast, and so they have this. I like the idea of them having this really powerful old like conquesty like villain wizard in their group who they're having to like deal with and kind of balance their style around. I think that'd be really entertaining. I mentioned that before. Like we've had parts where like the Fairy Tail Guild goes to, you know, they're interrogating somebody, they're trying to get info out, but they're not gonna actually kill anybody or do anything kind of like drastic. You know, they'll rough them up, but that's about it. Whereas like the White Witch, like, could you imagine that scene? It's like they're getting ready to threaten some guy. You probably get Urza in like some dominatrix outfit or something, Natsu and Grey trying to be scary, and then you have the White Witch just strolling, and she's just like, oh no, you're gonna tell us, and then just starts like draining magic out of their body, like ripping magic out of their body and slowly killing them, and you just be like, holy shit, somebody get this bitch out of here, somebody get her back on the bench. I think something like that would be really cool just to see in general for the style of I think the dynamic. I think it'd be a really good wrench in the dynamic of the series. And I'm also part of the belief that I think that she'll still develop a thing for Natsu. Like I got the Toka thing with Natsu ended up being happy and stuff. But I think it should be with we should get the White Witch maybe leaning towards Natsu. Not like fully, but I think it would be what's needed to kind of like help shove Natsu and Lucy kind of like, you know, in that full canon position. Because we've got Grey, we've got Juvia, like essentially everybody else. Like everybody else is pretty much prime in a good spot with their ship. The only one really just not. It's there, you can see it, but it's not fully on the tracks right now, is Natsu and Lucy. Like, you can tell that they definitely have feelings for each other. I think that's something that's always been very apparent in the probably since Phantom Lord. But I do think that given Natsu's like very playful personality, and he's clearly not somebody who's like, he's not somebody who's going to be very open when it comes to, like, his softer emotions like that. You know, when they're way more personal. Like, he can talk to Gildarts. Like, I believe he would talk to Gildarts probably about how he felt about Lucy, but that's probably it. And, like, Igneel, but, I mean, Igneel can't do that. Like, everybody that's alive, I think he could talk to Gildarts, but other than that, nobody really. So, I do really like the idea of the White Witch joining the team. I think she would provide a lot of really useful stuff, not only in, you know, the fact that she's got a lot of information, she's very powerful, and I think it would help just get that last ship, you know, on, you know, setting sail, pretty much. Let's see. Rex, do you think some of the devils escape the tree? So I do. I think they're all going to... I think for the most part, probably a majority of them are going to escape. I think the only one that isn't going to get out for sure is Lucifero. And part of that is I think that after this arc is when Lucifero can be sort of kind of like actually looked at as like getting out. Because as of right now, he is the logical end of series bad guy for Black Clover. He's the king of devils, essentially. He's the end of them. And the only, like, I was thinking about this earlier this week. The only character I would say that I think would be, like, able to fit the role of a end series villain for Black Clover is if we essentially have some form of evil Wizard King. Like, I'm just thinking of, like, if there was some form of exact representation of, like, an old, powerful wizard. Just imagine August, actually. I think August is an easy thing to do. As just, like, this master of magic, and then you have that guy set up, and it's like, the end of series, you know, villain. I don't know how you would work it into. We'd probably have to see, like, out somewhere else in the world, or other countries or something, in other kingdoms. But as of right now, I think Lucifero is the end series villain. Like, if Lucifero goes down at the end of the Spade War, then my only option, that at least from what I can think of right now, would be something like a super traditional style wizard. Because the way that I see it, at least right now, I think they're going to get most of the gates open. They're going to defeat most of the ones that get out, and then a couple of them are going to escape and go out into the world, and they're going to like be trying to find a way to let out Lucifero. And by then, like, I'd hope the characters would be strong enough that it's just like it's an actual, like, it's not as one-sided or like needing of a large group in order to take them. You know, maybe we get like, Asta and crew, each of them can 1v1 some of these characters. Like near the end, like when Black Clover, you can see a logical end in sight. But I don't see them all getting out. I think most of them are going to get out. And I think any of them that don't get killed after escaping are going to set up stuff for the future. Because, like, imagine like we get out of the Spade War. Imagine we get out of the Spade War, and it's like, oh, there's 4 devils that are still out there, and they're like, oh, well, we defeated these guys, they're all up on their high, they're like, oh, they're not going to get through the tree and do all the seals, and then we see, like, all the devils that are, like, that they got away, like, all grouped up, they're at some ancient ruins, of some, like, devil-worshipping cult or something, and they're looking for ways to get Lucifero out, and you just see, like, this culmination of maniacal and vile creatures that are just trying to figure out a way to end humanity. It would be a really nice hype up for the next arc, and then you could build like almost like a sense of peace and like and calmness before like some crazy big devil apocalypse. I don't know. I think that would be really cool if we did something like this. Rex, do you think Asta is a demon himself? I don't think so. Like, my theory is that he was affected by a devil at a very young age, or there had to be something involving a devil that is why he doesn't have magic, and it maybe created some form of devil power in him, similar to how when Licht originally became a devil, like that kind of close contact, like. Maybe Asta at the very start of like life, because of the stuff with seemingly his mom. We don't know if it was his mom or his dad in that short flashback right before he went berserk on Dante. But maybe like at the very start of life, like literally at the very beginning, Asta, he was struggling to want to live. Like literally maybe days old or something, weeks old, and then he almost gave up. And then maybe that's like when he met Yuno or something. When there's just infants, and somehow it gave him like a want to live still. I'm just trying to think of some way that it would kind of like hold back to him. And then similar to how Licht ended up becoming a devil instead of Zagrid getting his grimoire and going through this plan. Imagine like that kind of like small growth of demon power was within Asta. And then that's just part of him. I don't know. And then maybe that would be why the anti-magic devil likes Asta, because I think the anti-magic devil was born when Licht first ended up becoming a devil, because it was a different process. I think that when that happened and then died, like all that devil power went somewhere, and that created the anti-magic devil. And maybe that's why the anti-magic devil picked Asta. He's like, oh, you were born and kind of like raised in a similar manner or something. He just saw something relatable to him. I don't know. It's a theory, but I don't think Asta is a full devil. But I think that at some point, just in his infancy, he was affected by one. I don't know. I am really looking forward to that Asta backstory, because I think Asta's backstory they need to be a little bit careful with, because I don't want Asta to be like child of the prophecy, you were chosen to do this or something. Like, I am hoping the reason Asta is why he is was through unfortunate circumstances. I don't want it to be like Asta, it just was given all these powers, and the same as like Naruto. I think that's what kind of hurt Naruto, and he was like a child of the prophecy, and then it was like, oh, the Uzumaki, you just have really big chakra from the start, and it's like, well, what the fuck? Like, isn't he supposed to be like hard work, dude? Like, even Asta getting this anti-magic swords and grimoire, they're tools. They're only as good as the user can make them. So, like, it's not the same as just like, oh yeah, you just have these and stuff. It's like, no, they're in your hands, but you gotta learn how to actually like swing them and draw out their power and stuff. I mean, even like what we've seen with Asta so far, like he hasn't Like, he doesn't even have, like, full control over the swords because he can only use the anti-magic versions instead of, like, those pure white versions that Licht was using. Anyway, let me read some of these comments so I don't get too far behind. That makes sense now. Okay, good. I heard this rumor there was only being one arc, unconfirmed, probably not true. Chainsaw Man? No, there's gonna be more. There'd be no point in introducing the whole primordial fear devils if you're only gonna show one and then never do any again. Especially when the series is doing as well as it is. Like, it's not slacking. It's not falling back on anything. Like, Chainsaw Man is doing well, and that's pre-anime. When Chainsaw Man gets an anime, it's gonna be GG. Like, I legitimately think that Chainsaw Man's anime is gonna, as long as it's good. It doesn't even have to be amazing, but I think it's gonna be really good because I think they're gonna have to give it to a pretty good studio, just because Chainsaw Man is so different than like your average shonen. Like, there's always obviously like way more violence. There's a lot more kind of like darker, more adult themes at times, and I think what most shonens have. Obviously, I'm gonna get some guy who brings up some scene from some shonen. Again, there's some that are dark as well, but I'm saying like not all of them are like that. Like Chainsaw Man is definitely one that stands out. I think a lot of people can really just look at that and be like, yeah, absolutely. The devil's name for Asta might be Roth. I mean, yeah, I've seen that theory a lot too. It's definitely, again, similar to the White Witch. I want to figure out like what happens, or what this character's name is as well. Like, I definitely need to get to that point and hopefully actually like be given context to what we have so far. But it's a ways away. I'll actually no. I mean, like, really, when I think about it, like, he could get his name the next chapter. What am I talking about? Just like we can get the White Mage's chapter, the White Witch's name, rather. I mean, in next chapter. Like, it literally just has to be a name drop. We don't need explanation. It just has to be a name drop. I'll take a damn nickname. Yeah, I've known about the Astaroth theory. It's interesting. I don't know. I feel like it might have to change his name a little bit, though, to make it slightly different, so it's not just literally Astaroth. Like, maybe you can just call him Wrath, and then make it, Astarath or something. Asta and Wrath. I don't know. I think it'd be neat. I don't think it should be the exact same, though. I feel like that's too. I think at that point it becomes too obvious, and for the reference, so you just tweak it a little bit. I'll admit it'd be cool. She would be the guild's weapon. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because the White Witch is right now the most powerful member of the guild. Like, the closest that they have otherwise is Natsu with Dragon Force. But, like, outside of that, the White Witch is the strongest member of the Fairy Tail Guild right now. She is by far the most powerful. I mean, that's not really something that can be argued or contended with. Like, it is factual. She is the top right now. Yeah, there's this very strong potential there for how she goes about it. Like, I'm fine if she sticks around, but if she sticks around, she's got to go into main cast. They can't backseat her. And if she leaves, I really want to see Rebellious. I want to see her group. I really want to see them. Like, I still really want to know, like, how many people are in Diablos? How many people are in Rebellious? How, like, the mystery around, I think, those two groups right now are ones that really have been picking away at me with 100 Years Quest, because they're such smaller kind of like things to really kind of like go towards. I think that those are definitely two ones that most people, I think, can just overlook. Like, they don't need to know how many people are in Diablos. They don't need to know how many people in Rebellions. Like, me, though, stuff like that will always bother me. Like, when, like, Suzaku showing up, it's going to bother me until I actually see what his abilities are. If they didn't give him the title of Red Dragon, then I would be super annoyed at trying to figure out, like, okay, what is this guy's power going to be? Because people are already able to figure out the whole potential reference, to the Vermilion Phoenix and stuff with his name, which opens up the possibility of, like, where the inspiration is from. I got to do a video on that, too. But, yeah. The Devil's Escaping could open up more of the map. That's what I'm thinking, because they mentioned locations, and I'm hoping that some of them are off the continent, like maybe on some remote island, or someplace like a little off to the west or the east. They just can't go north because of the spade. I think they'd be able to go north, but just that maybe I have to take like an arc way up there. But yeah, it's definitely right now a very high potential for what's to come right now in Black Clover. I really want to see where where each of these devils kind of like lay and how they're going to be presented. I think the first ones are going to be fairly easy because the first seal has 2 devils in it, and they said that each of them is like as powerful as a Dark Triad member in the upper levels. So I feel like the first one, it's like they will be Dark Triad. They'll be as powerful as a Dark Triad, but together. Like each one of them is like half, and then together they're that much of a threat. And then it would make sense for the first one as well. It'd be by far the weakest when fighting any of them, and then you just gotta, separate them and then do whatever, do whatever they need to contend with whatever magic they have. Because like think about it, like it would make sense if the first one, each of them were only half, because they're the first ones out. They're obviously the weakest. They're literally set up in a power level hierarchy from weakest at the top to lowest at the bottom. And it, again, open up pretty well to a much more kind of opening fight than if we instantly get into a Dark Triad level person. Rex Edward Kingdom. Yeah, I got to like chapter 450 or something. I'm waiting for it to end. Like, I got caught up with Kingdom, and I didn't like it as much reading it weekly. So I was like, I'm just gonna leave it alone and let it build up, because like it's not a series that I was like super invested in, but I did enjoy it. So I'm just gonna wait for it to kind of just catch back up, or not catch up, to get way further ahead than me, and then just jump on it when I can. Let's see. What if Selene Ignia had an alliance, similar to Big Mom and Kaido from One Piece? Well, we would need to know what her theory is in the first place. She would probably be alright with it because she wants to kind of just like end the world and then like make the moon look better by comparison. I'm wondering what exactly like her full like explanation is going to be. Like, is it literally like, oh, she just wants the moon to be better? I don't know. There has to be some deeper stuff. Like, we know that the moon has aspects in Fairy Tail like towards the, like, there's lore around the moon. Like, we know that the moon actually has like magic of its own. It's pretty powerful. So there's definitely stuff already established. We just got to see like how is it going to relate to Selene. And Mishima did say that there was going to be like a big nostalgia thing coming up, and I personally think it's going to have to do with like the people of Galuna Island, because of the fact that they earlier in the series had to do with like moon drip. Their island is a crescent moon shape, and there's a lot that can still be worked with. But I don't know, it's definitely right now, I think I think right now it's definitely something that built up. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't really know if it's gonna happen right now. But it's like, why would Ignia want to team up with her? Like, he's got no real reason. I feel like he would try and talk to her something about, like, any situation that might lead him to having, like, Natsu stronger. But, like, outside of that, like, why would he want to even associate with her? The Dragon Gods don't seem to be on very good terms with each other. I do want to see Viernes, because I feel like Viernes is going to be, the weird one thrown in there. He's going to be the very big kind of like wrench in the style of all the other Dragon Gods. Like, maybe he's cowardly, or he just doesn't want to fight at all, but he ends up being like really powerful. Like, it's, I'm hyped. He's got one of the ones that I'm most interested in, just based off of, I think, the extra mystery to him, and then the fact I think that his city is going to be themed kind of like El Dorado, with his name being Spanish, and then, this hidden, mysterious golden, being a gold dragon, and then having this, extra secret, kind of like hidden away even amongst the Dragon Gods kind of situation. It wouldn't surprise me if he has something kind of like El Dorado, and, this secret city of gold. Maybe he's got more dragons there, and he's like guarding a bunch of dragons from ever getting back out or something. His is going to be really cool. Form-wise, I think Selene's is going to be the most interesting just to look at. But I think Viernes is going to be the most interesting in just terms of like his general his general presentation. Ignia, though, I still believe is going to be the best overall. There's a lot of story that can be worked with when it comes to him. So I really, really, really just wish that I had a higher level of patience. It's going to happen. We know it's going to happen. It's just, can I wait it out? Probably, but it's always going to be rough. So, anyway, I really want to see Viernes. I think Viernes is going to be, I don't know, I've always felt like he's going to be just a lot of fun. Plus, a gold dragon is going to look badass. Gold plated, he's probably going to just have, like, an absurd roar. Actually, that's one thing I wish we saw from Alteron. I wish we saw Dragon Breath. Like, it's always confused me, the idea of, like, if Hero Machine would ever have, like, a dragon show up and not have a breath. It's similar to Future Rogue. Like, we never saw him use his white shadow dragon breath. That was just one of those things, like, one day Sting and Rogue are going to do a unison raid roar, and they're going to call it white shadow dragon's breath, or roar, whatever. And it'll just be such a nice resolution point. It's like when that Starry Sky arc, because it's canon, ended up giving like an actual canon explanation of what Genesis Zero did. Like, it did the same thing that it was shown in the anime, but the anime original scene back in the Oracion Seis arc was obviously not canon. So it was cool to see, like, it actually put in there. So you can knock that right out of the list of spells that don't actually end up getting to do anything. Because some spells, Abyss Break still hasn't done anything in canon. We at least know what Ars Magia did. I wish we got to see it used by a character. Maybe just not the Lost Aspect version that August... Well, no, August wasn't going to Lost Aspect. That's not true. But it's a sacrificial level, unless that's the only thing, the only option. Unless, I guess, you have, like, a character... Like, maybe, what if you had a character who... Their magic was they got to ignore certain rules of magic, and so they just learned dangerous spells, something like Ars Magia. And it's like, I'm able to cast it, but I don't have to abide by the rules. Like if you could just have specific spells, but they don't, you don't get the drawbacks. Not like they get every magic ever, but they get specifically like really powerful like casting spells. Something like Ars Magia, or they could have like Organometria and stuff. That definitely do a lot of neat stuff with that, I think. Plus, it'd be a really cool concept for just power in general. Yeah, I'm going to read the Eden Zero chapter. I might read it on stream. I might just do it right now and go through it. Just because, I don't know, I give my honest, like, as we go review. I mean, I guess I talk about the reviews anyway. I think I'm going to save it, actually. I think I'm going to save it till after the stream, because then after the stream, I'll do a review on it, and it'll be as close as I can. Then instead of just doing it on the stream and then having a review, or it's just me kind of like doing my best to think about what did I say like on the review, and then or on the stream, and then how I can keep it close but not too similar to like the one on the stream. It'll be too much of a hassle if I do it here. I'll wait until afterwards. Like the Fairy Tail chapter and the Eden Zero one, I'm going to wait until... I don't think the Eden Zero one's out. Or, sorry, the Fairy Tail one's out. But I will wait for both regardless if, when this stream is over. I am hoping that Fairy Tail comes out before then. But anyway, let me get some more of these comments. I get distracted easy, and then I go on silly rants. As for Celine's powers, it's obvious... Oh, wait, I don't want to miss this Asta comment. What is this? Asta has anti-magic, which is better than all types of magic, so the underdog actually has magic. So it's not magic. It is he has his own power, but the thing about it is because they go through the swords, they're tools. And Asta's power with the anti-magic, it's only as good as the wielder. That's the thing about like when you have specifically like a sword or some form of tool. He still has to learn how to use them. He still has to utilize them, and he still has to be able to draw out their power. Asta didn't get his, didn't get the anti-magic sword, and then instantly was, on level with any of these other characters. There were people that he was already physically fast and strong enough to compete with, but he just didn't have the power to really kind of like keep up with theirs. And then the same thing with when we've seen like the gaps between Asta then and Asta now. Asta has to keep working and improving and advancing, otherwise he's going to fall behind. All it really did was give Asta a chance to compete. Like, it's like if you took Asta, same personality, and you gave him any power, he would still be pushing to where he's at right now. I mean, but probably like there's certain things, like obviously he's not going to have the exact same scenario like with whereas the anti-magic stood out, but I think that his development would have gone in a similar direction. Also, just always working, always trying to improve, looking at others in order to see what he can learn and how he can grow and evolve. He's always been like that, and I don't think him just having anti-magic is the same as just like, oh well, that's just kind of the underdog is out of the way. Like he's still an underdog. Like he had to invent his own version of Monoskin. Like if it wasn't for like the events in the Witch's Forest, obviously him knowing about Monoskin and like key sensing, then he would have never gotten past that portion because he never would have been able to develop his black form in order to fight against like stuff like areas he would need heavy levels of resistance or enhanced durability, enhanced speed that you get from Monoskin. So Asta's definitely done whatever he can in order to keep up. Like it's not the same as that's not the exact same as like I'm trying to think of another character like Gray getting the power from his dad. It was very emotional and there was a lot tied to it. But like Gray got it and he ended up training and working on it afterwards. But like the amount that he had at the time was like you have your current power plus like a pretty good buff, but also the trait of being able to fight and kill devils with a higher level of potency than before. Like it'd be like if Gray got that from the start and then it's been working that ever since. But like Asta did get that from the start. Like that's just been part of like his whole setup since the beginning. I've always disagreed with the idea. It's like, oh well, Asta just got a power and then he was good. It's like no, he still worked his ass off in order to even use it in the first place. As for Celine's powers, obvious, come from the moon. Well, I think moon dragons, from what we were described and how they works very similar to fairy glitter. So I think there's going to be a reveal on like fairy glitter, like maybe originate from moon dragons. But I think that the way that she's going to really work, it's just going to be, if you watch Dragon Cry, look at Animus's roars and like attacks. I think it's going to be a similar thing where it's going to have this almost like mystic energy style to it. And then obviously like drawn from, the sun and the moon and stuff. The stars out in space. It's going to be badass. I think visually she's going to look the best. I think she's going to look the best overall. And then I think just straight visually, like just general, like his design, I think Viernez is going to be the coolest. But it could be a toss-up because both of them just look, well, both of them should look cool considering Moon and Gold. Like Alderon's was pretty straightforward. I think Merc's was pretty stunning. I thought his was very well to the theme, but also very pretty. And then Ignia, I think Ignia's works exactly the way it's set. He's like a rebellious teenager. It looks like he's a dragon from the 90s with all those extra spikes and stuff. Like, I really like Ignia's design. I think it fits him great. I feel Asta has anti-magic and his devil's something completely different. I don't think so. I don't think so. Asta asking the devil for power gives Naruto and Kurama vibes. Yeah, he's trying to make a deal with the devil. Where would you place current Shiki's power level in terms of fairy tale characters based on power and overall? I mean, there's not a lot of big feats right now for individual characters. The most in Eden Zero is like big weapons. So like Shiki, like I don't think Shiki has many like big power level feats. We've had some good speed feats. Like obviously Homura intercepting and cutting a missile. There's been some bullet dodging and stuff. But like I don't think there's many big power level feats for Shiki. Like there's not even many big power level feats for Draken Joe, because Draken Joe was way more focused on the flexibility and level of his hacks. So I don't know, like I don't even think Shiki's at like Sirius Island arc Natsu yet. I'd still kind of put him in like the fighting festival. I think where Natsu was at that point in the series is a pretty good area to have him at, but obviously like he's not as durable as Natsu. I don't think that his level of output is nearly as much, because Shiki has been way more emphasized on his level of agility. Like Shiki's thing has been like how quick he is in reaction, and then how obviously flexible his ability is, and how he can just kind of to utilize it for each fight. One second. I'm messaging someone. Okay. Let me see. Let me get to some of these comments and see what's going on. Yeah, Suzaku the red was red, so fire. I don't think it's fire. I think he's going to be some form of. Here's my guess. So, my guess is that it's not going to be fire. I think it's going to play more than the fact he's a phoenix, and he's going to have way more of like a regeneration style. I think he's going to be way more of a healer. Maybe he has fire. The problem right now that if he has fire, obviously that's going to be really big in Natsu's favor, and I don't want that to happen. I would actually really like it if he's like this high regeneration like samurai. Imagine that. Imagine it's just like he's got like these dragon attacks that are way more kind of like speed and swiftness, and just like all around, just trying to get clean cuts on his opponent, and then not really having to worry too much about himself because of regeneration. But also, I'm trying to think of like fire. Like I get it obviously because the reference I think people have gotten so far, and at least the potential is that each of the dragon or the Black Dragon Knights are based off of the four guardians of four signs and like was in the Chinese lore, and Vermilion Vermilion Bird obviously being the phoenix, it would fit. But I don't think we need another fire. I don't think we need another fire character, especially with Ignia. I don't think a fire is necessary. I think maybe otherwise like blood. I think blood would be really cool, but other than that, like phoenix, like regeneration. I don't know. I really don't want there to be. I don't want there to be any more duplicates right now, especially because the Dragon Eaters, on top of everything else, they've all had really weird attributes. All of them have had weird attributes. You've had blade, armor, corpse, ghost, clinging. Like they've all been really weird. So, or spirit, I think is the official translation for raises. But you know what I mean? I think they have to fit, and then it will kind of like go into. Is it the Guardians for Japan? I thought it was Chinese. Either way, it's gonna be. A lot of people think that's what it's gonna be, just because what we have for Suzaku so far, which again could fit, but definitely not fire. I don't want fire. If we didn't have Ignia, I'd be like, okay, maybe. But with Ignia up there, it's like, why even have another fire character? Plus, like, with them knowing about Natsu, like, they're not going to bring another fire character if you have another Fire Dragon Slayer. I think that would be a bad idea. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't know. You are with Kingdom, how I was reading Gantz. Gantz though, like, Gantz reads super fast, and, like, I read Gantz when it was over. And I think that's the big, like, differing thing is Gantz was over when I read it, whereas Kingdom was still going. And I don't like, if Kingdom was done when I was reading it, I would have read it all the way through. I got caught up, and then I was just like, it's not the same. And I could see that with Gantz actually, because Gantz is super fast paced at times, so it's pretty easy to just skim through stuff and read it at a way quicker pace than most manga end up having. But yeah. Where was I? I was trying to think. I'll just get back to the comments. I was like trying to say something, but I completely spaced out. Happens sometimes when I rant. What is your J job? It's like essentially kind of like an equipment processing dude. I don't want to go too much into it. I got to keep some of the mystery. I was gonna say mystique, but I feel like I'd be using that term incorrectly. Do you read The Time I Was Reincarnated as a Slime? I don't. I might watch the anime because I like that. I keep seeing that one chick with the orange hair. I've seen her in a lot of GIFs and just in a lot of different memes. And she has an interesting design. She looks like a very happy character. So if she's like somebody very fun that's out in the open, like way more invested or way more present in the story, then yeah, probably like when I tried it. I got like a few episodes, and I don't know, isekais, most isekais don't do it for me, because a lot of them start out the exact same, and I just wasn't getting to like anywhere I cared about, so I just kind of like let it pass. Because there's a lot of seasonal stuff, like whatever the big seasonal hype thing is, I usually don't watch just because I most of the time I just don't want to be swept up with all the people that just like, oh, it's the best thing ever, and it's only because it's brand new and they haven't really, they're gonna say whatever the next big thing is the best too, but definitely plan on getting to it. I need to at some point. I think that this series that like I've been asked about a lot, and I think is something that isn't going to go away. It's probably going to get another season, I would assume. So I'll get caught up on it at some point. I'll get caught up one day. You should agree that statement that Sting and Rogue ruined the potential by getting Lacrima. I don't think it ruined their potential. I think it slowed their potential down. I think it slowed down the process because Lacrima-based Dragon Force has never been nearly as much of an increase as induced Dragon Force or like true Dragon Force. Because like even look at like the level gap that Natsu has shown whenever he uses Dragon Force. Wendy's controlled one is a little bit different because she, from what we've seen, doesn't blast through her level of magic that Natsu does. Usually when Natsu goes Dragon Force, it's like all in. Wendy tries to use it much more conservatively, but there's still a really big power increase. I mean, obviously she was able to keep up with Irene, so that alone is like a really significant boost. But like look at like Natsu going Dragon Force against Jalal. Look at him going Dragon Force against Zero. Look at Wendy when she got Dragon Force. Look at Gajil. The level of boost that they got from induced Dragon Force is way more than like Laxus or Cobra showed with their Dragon Force, and Sting and Rogue when they showed it during the Grand Magic Games. Theirs was not nearly as large because they were using an inferior version. And it's very consistent. There's like it's one of the weird things about Lacrima-based stuff in Fairy Tail is we don't have a direct in-canon explanation, but it's consistent. Like hybrid modes. Hybrid modes, we don't have a direct, hey, here's how this works. But every time we've seen it, it has to do with a Dragon Slayer who ends up intaking an element from another Dragon Slayer who has a Lacrima, where the first one doesn't have a Dragon Lacrima, so it ends up becoming like this kind of hybrid form, like Natsu did with Laxus, Gajil did with Rogue, and not the same, but still like the Lacrima being the factor. Look at Future Rogue. Future Rogue took Sting's Lacrima, took his power, and ended up becoming a White Shadow Dragon Slayer. So it just, the Lacrima is the big factor in this, and the Lacrima already was like a new thing to the dragon slaying art. Like it was already a new concept. So it, like whatever was to come of it, the whole ideas that they had around Dragon Slayers beforehand is on the table. We don't know what's going to be different. Like I mean, like look at Dragon Eaters. They aren't weak to motion sickness. That's already something that otherwise would be a known staple for like how Slayer magic work, or dragon slaying magic work. Let's see. Racks of White Witch joins the guild that make merchandise of her toys. I'm sure I would love a figure of her. I think she's cool. I mean, like we haven't got a ton of her, but I like her design. I like that she looks just like this pretty small, like very ladylike. Just the fact that she's dressed a little bit extra, I think, than most characters. She's got like the more traditional, almost like a Disney princess style dress, and then she's actually like this 100-plus-year-old cultist wizard who's able to rip magic from people's bodies and take control of them. I think that's really cool, and it gives off it just gives off like an extra level of threat when you know that this character who looks so innocent is so horrifying. And I think that's one of the things that really worked for Zareth is I watched a YouTuber who is doing like going through Fairy Tail right now, and she was like saying how she envisioned Zareth as like this almost like generic ancient evil wizard, like an old man, hunchback, probably with like a scary staff, and then plotting over a cauldron or something. But that's how he was described leading up to him, and I always really liked that reveal. But instead, Zareth, he was this very sad, like depressed dude who he looked like a really normal, just trying really hard not to let everything get to him again and fall into that despair. Well, I guess he was already crazy at that point, but you know what I mean. that complete alter of expectations. I think that's really cool. And, like, obviously the build-up for the White Witch isn't the same as Zareth, because Zareth's was, like, over 200 chapters, whereas the White Witch's was only, like, a couple until we got the reveal. But I think it still really works with her design and her personality and stuff. I think she's really cool. Lucifero versus Martgear. Well, we don't really know anything about, like, Lucifero as a soul person so far, but, like, I don't think there's nobody in Black Clover that could deal with Memento Mori, though. That's always going to come down in most cases. It's kind of like with Black Clover, like, even if you have a lot higher power level than Black Clover, there's certain hacks in it that's going to be dangerous. Like, Julius alone is why One Piece can't beat Black Clover at all. Like, there's certain, like, if you can try and, like, come up with scenarios for certain characters of how they can overcome, like, other people, like Dante or Yami or anything, it's like, yeah, but then you have to contend with Julius. And Julius is going to, like, if he just hits you once, he dusts you. And certain characters can resist it. Like, obviously, characters who don't age, people who just, like, might have some counteractive to magic in general. But One Piece doesn't have that. It does not have that at all. Whereas, like, with Fairy Tail, there's so many really good hacks. And that's the thing with Bleach, too. But I think something like, again, Martgear, Memento Mori, unless you have something to counteract Memento Mori, if you get hit by Memento Mori, it's over. That's it. So, like, who knows, like, if his other curses would hit and really do anything to Lucifero. Who knows how Lucifero against Martgear. But regardless of which, Memento Mori is a finisher. Maybe he ends up getting something that can contend with it. Who knows? But as of right now, Memento Mori is GG. Like, absolutely. Like, they have no counter to it. Like, nobody really in Black Clover right now has a counter to Memento Mori. Token of the White Mage is seen in Chapter 50 of Eden Zero. I've seen that theory. I've some people make that. I mean, it sorta looks like her, but I don't know if I would kind of consider the same thing as, like, an actual Natsu and Lucy cameo. I don't know. Like, I've seen this for a bit, but either way, it's a little bit weird. I do like seeing cameos and stuff from Mishima, but I do like that in that chapter, like, you see Natsu and Lucy there, but right now, I definitely, I'm hoping for more. I'd like to see, like, an Eden 01 in Fairy Tail, but, I mean, I guess it won't work. Like, Mishima usually does the reverse of characters from previous series. Like, he had a bunch of Fairy Tail people, or Rave Master people and cameos for Fairy Tail, so I think it would fit with how it's set now. With, like, oh, these guys showing up in Eden Zero. And then probably whatever he does after Eden Zero will have members of Eden Zero making cameos. But anyway, let's see. We should join the guild at some point. I want Jalal, Lucy, Kino, and Sting to gang up on Celine. Why Yukino? Why Yukino, though? That's a weird one. Hope Undine trains Noelle when we see her next. I hope so, too. I'm hoping that she has Undine and, like, she's able to grasp her pretty well. Because I think AoE would be the best thing right now for Noelle. Because there's not a lot of AoE people in the series. And that's clearly what Undine's specialty is after comparing her to, like, what the other great spirits have done. But, like, I've been thinking, like, I've thought this for a while. Like, there aren't a lot of big AoE people in the series. Like, I'm trying to think of just in size of attacks. Like, there's some stuff from, like, Demon Licked. There's some stuff from, obviously, Julius. Like, legitimately, Leopold, that big rune field that he made was actually really impressive for the series. But, yeah. Dark Tournament's the best tournament arc? No, that'd be Battle City. Suzaku looks like Yorishi from Demon Slayer. A little bit, yeah. I think it's just that traditional kind of, kimono-style setup and then the tied-back hair. Dude definitely looks badass, though. I really like him a lot. That's up for the debate. There are many tournament arcs. Oh, wait, I missed this. Let's see. Shiki is not Serious Island level, but okay. I think he's around that. I mean, like, I think he could compete with Serious Island arc Natsu, obviously before Lightning Flame Dragon mode. But I'm keeping in mind, like, where he doesn't have the same level of durability and straight offense that Natsu has. He has the mobility and agility to compete with them. Which tournament arc is better, Grand Magic Games or Chunin Exams? I mean, I like the Grand Magic Games more. I really like the Grand Magic Games. I think it had a different tone than the Chunin Exams, and I think that I think that's a big factor in my opinion towards it. Because, like, a lot of tournament arcs obviously are very fun. I love tournament arcs. Like I don't think there's any series like where you get the tournament arc and I'm like, ugh, I don't want to see this. But one thing I do really like about Fairy Tail's tournament arc is that it was after a point where the guild was obviously, like what we saw after the time skip, buried low on the totem pole, and they'd been going through a lot of unfortunate, sad shit in the last 7 years. So like the tournament was very based around, you know, Fairy Tail rising back to the top, and it was about kind of like building back up hope and making up for lost time and just getting their heads back held high and stuff. And I thought that was a really, really uplifting, especially after Sirius Island, where you thought you kept getting in spots where it looked like they were going to lose, and they kept, you know, being able to come out on top, especially against Hades. And you're like, okay, yeah, you know, that's just how some arcs are. You know, some arcs it's like, oh yeah, they're going to win, and then some it's like, oh, stuff just keeps going bad for them. Obviously, Blue Note stepping out, and you're like, oh shit, about this guy, and then Gildart shows up, and then the tree falls, and then they fight Hades, and then Hades is like, oh, your first attack didn't do anything, and then Laxus shows up, then like Natsu gets Lightning Flame Dragon mode, and they use up everything, and then Hades gets up again, and you're just like, holy shit, is this guy gonna stay down? And then takes off his eye patch, and it just keeps getting worse for him. And then when you thought it was finally over, and you're in those kind of like those nice, comfortable, just cool down chapters and episodes and stuff, and then you're like, okay, well, are we getting into the end of this arc? And then Acnologia shows up, and then they just lost. And then so the rest of it, like going into the Grand Magic Games, and obviously I'm not talking about the Key to the Starry Sky. Like I know it's canon, but I'm talking specifically about the Grand Magic Games and their rise back to the top. I think it added a whole lot extra to how they were represented in the world based off that. And I thought it really meant a lot to I think it meant a lot to a lot of the people in the guild, really, not just in the sense of like, oh yeah, they're number one now, but like how much they were fighting for them. I think always was a really cool aspect for the series. Let's see, Saku, I already read this one. Kyoto arc is great, but I don't know if that counts as a tournament arc. Like I said, I mean that arc's really good, but definitely for me it's Battle City. Battle City, dude, I love Battle City arc. This is so badass. Yu Show is fire. I do like Yu Show. Misfit of Demon King Academy is great. Is that the one where the dude like gets adopted or something by like the Demon King? Strongest Fairy Tail character that can beat Yacht from Bleach. I mean probably Fairy Heart Zera for like Space Between Time Acnologia, because like with Zeref and Yacht, it just becomes two all powerful like godly people that are just fighting each other. I don't know. I mean I don't really see. If it came down to it, I feel like Zeref could just, you know, I think Zeref would win because he could stop time and then just take all of Juha's power out of his body. But like other than that, like they're pretty much two godly people like just attacking each other. Wendy is the most mobile out of Team Natsu. Wendy is very mobile. I'm actually very curious when she's gonna learn full flight, like that we saw when we saw Irene have her power. Like Irene was just straight flying it like while she was in Wendy's body. Let's see. Mashima Yachi. I mean, yeah, he's like a weird character to use, obviously though. I want Wendy to develop her own power sometimes. Oh yeah, she's getting trained by Irene. But oh yeah, it was Super Mecha Frieza. I think her and like BT Geek are the only anime reaction people I watch. I got like 2. I didn't really want to name specific people just because like I don't think anybody really cared. But yeah, definitely like just a couple people. I don't want to watch too many. I mean, most of the time it's like if I want to see them, it's like parts that I know they're going to be really hyped about and just like really fun scenes. Like obviously like you know when Gildart shows back up to Sirius Island, that's going to be really fun to watch. I think she just was at. The last one she got was like Natsu beating Zenkro. So actually, I'm really looking forward to her in an episode when they when Kana gives her backstory. That's going to be definitely one of the big hype ones for me, because I don't like that the anime made Gildart's hair that red color, because it just added to the stupid theory where people were saying like Gildart's is based off Shanks. It's supposed to be brown, but it did help. It helps pull the potential, like, foreseeing that Kana is talking about Gildart's. Well, I mean, like, you don't really see it until, like, you get to her backstory, but I feel like with the brown hair, it might give it away. I don't know. It's been something that for the anime I've always been like, I wish they just kept his hair brown. It's actually like, this is just funny. So, the other dude I mentioned, he just got through the fighting festival, and he didn't notice in the anime that he did like 4 episodes, the last 4 episodes. I watched them yesterday, and in the anime, I get mad at the anime for this, because when Mystican shows up, you can see the hair, like you see he's got the same hair color as Jalal. And in the anime, they show brief moments of his eye, and you can kind of see the tattoo. And like, I feel like anybody who notices that, it's just like right off the bat confuses you like a good minute or so beforehand, before he, like, Laxus blasts off his hood. But he didn't notice it, and then was so confused. And I was happy, because you don't get that confusion, that same level of confusion most of the time when you watch the anime, because the anime gives it away. I mean, there's already the fact that the anime like gives away stuff in the openings and shit all the time, which I'm actually I might like message him at some point, like when he gets to the next arc, and be like, do not watch the openings. Don't watch the openings until after you get to the part where it moves on to the next one. Like, don't watch opening 9 until, like, opening 10 starts. And don't watch opening 10 until you finish the damn arc. Because opening 10 gives away that Acnologia shows up. And it's still a little bit of, like, you don't really know what the context of that is. But it gives it away. And it's going to be a bit until he gets there. So, like, I'm hoping I can remember and be like, hey, just so you know. I might comment on that, like, on his next one. Be like, hey, just so you know, do not watch any of these openings until like after a certain point, because that's the hard shit. Like when it comes to animes, like especially big shonens, like the anime openings always want to spoil shit. That's what I liked about I actually do like about when it comes to like localized, like Yu-Gi-Oh's 4Kids version of the opening. Obviously they take away the actual Japanese opening, and they kind of just, it's literally just music and then saying he's going to duel a bunch for the most part. But they don't really give much for spoilers away, and I've always really liked that about like when when they do that, when they do some like localized opening version, which not the best thing, obviously, way more often than not a bad thing. But in terms of the spoilers though, you don't get those. I mean, like I think it was like at the start of the arc, before the arc even started. Like I didn't notice this until a rewatch, I think a year or so ago, is the opening song that shows like the fighting festival and everything, the battle for Fairy Tail. That one starts before you even get out of the Tower of Heaven. So you already know that Godjil joins the guild. You already know that Laxus is going to be the enemy in the next arc, and you know that him and Natsu are going to team up to fight him. It didn't give away everything, but I'm just like, damn, dude, this was a big dead giveaway. Like I'm lucky that the anime, like where it was originally set, because episode 48 was like, hey, this is it, and unless we get renewed. So they didn't like start with a new opening. So episode 48 ends with that opening, to where I think that's opening 4. Yeah, because then 5 and 6 are Nirvana, Horacio says, so then 7, 8 is Edelweiss. But yeah, it bothers me when animes do that. Because like, I actually really like that about the Bleach anime, is because I assume that was the case for a lot of the stuff. Like there's like fights in the openings, and it's like, what is it? There's like a part where I think Toshiro fights Chad or something. I'm trying to remember just like those kind of earlier openings for Bleach. But like stuff that happens generally is hinted, but it doesn't give nearly as much context as to what just happened. I don't know. I don't like it when they give spoilers in the openings. Anyway, I went off on a small rant just because I was bothered by. I'm always bothered when it comes to like shonen openings because of that. Hoping a being like Zephyr appears in Black Clover. Well, I think they need to have just like an ancient, powerful wizard, like some dude who's just like, oh, he's. I guess they have the Witch Queen, but I want one that's actually like top tier or something. I want literally like Merlin, like just a Merlin character to exist in Black Clover. I mean, it doesn't need to be, but I'd like it. I'm perfectly fine if it sticks with doing the devil stuff. But I'm wondering if they can just stick to the devil stuff until near the end. But I don't know. It would be really cool if the devil stuff it does contain for this arc. I think that the remainder of the series should do something with just really powerful like ancient wizards or something in general, and then see Asta take them down and do whatever they need to. It doesn't need to be. I don't know, I'm just trying to think of well, what could be otherwise the case if it's not the devils and stuff. Ziggy is moon level. Well, no, we don't know how big that planet is. We don't know how big Grand Bell is. If people want to start scaling them, they need to first scale and see how big Grand Bell is as a planet. Will we ever see Gildarts' backstory? I hope so. I was thinking about that recently. We don't know him. I'm actually really still hoping we ever see the flashback of his conflict with Ivan. Because Ivan, I still hope that Ivan can somehow work his way into relevancy. If Ivan works for Celine, or not Celine. Maybe Ivan is a follower of the White Witch, something like that, and maybe he found out ways in order to increase his power. Maybe he found out how to make his own version of Hell's Core, and he's part demon. Or maybe he's got a bunch of magic tools in order to amplify up his body to be really powerful. Just a lot of stuff desperation levels of increase, sacrificing aspects about themselves in order to climb the power level ladder, and then be useful. Because I still really wish that we would get just some form of altercation with Ivan, because he looks cool while as a bad guy. I think his design is still pretty good. He comes off as just this scummy evil dude. Doesn't need to have some crazy backstory or anything too deep. You can just make him vile and just make him a vicious dude, and I think it would work just fine. But I don't know. I think he'd be really cool for some key factor in Gildarts' backstory, because earlier we don't have Gildarts' backstory. So what is it gonna be? What's it going to be whenever we actually get to finding out about Gildarts, Gildarts' origins? Because we've seen Gildarts through flashbacks with a couple of characters. We know him through parts with Natsu. Yeah, if you've read Ice Trail, he's actually the first person in the guild that Gray met, and he's pretty much why Gray ended up going to the Fairy Tail Guild. But I would like to see where's he from? What was it like for Gildarts, as a young lad, even finding out about the Fairy Tail Guild, and then, what led him here? What was his life growing up, as this extremely powerful being that clearly has a lot of just magic potential and, high-level just latent abilities deeply seated in, in his being. From birth, I would assume. I don't imagine that he was just, one day woke up, magic puber, and he's I'm powerful now. It's probably always there. He just hadn't, he hadn't just unlocked it. I don't know. It's one of those ones where you don't think about a lot, but at the same time, you're just why the hell haven't we got his backstory? I think I think Mishima is saving it until he dies, because I genuinely believe out of the characters right now that you could kill off in the guild and do a lot with it. I think Gildarts is really the best example, or the best person for it, because you're not going to kill off Laxus. Killing off Mako or Wakabo, who cares? I mean, I think they're entertaining characters, but the one of them dying isn't going to be... It's not going to do anything for the story outside of we can get some good character moments, but it's not going to feel the same outside of we know Fairy Tail members care about each other like family, and you're still going to have that general base idea, but we don't have nearly as much of a grasp on how much these characters care about either of those guys and stuff, and also as the readers as Gildarts. Makarov's not going to die. Makarov should only die of old age at this point. He does not need to have any form of cool sacrificial death, but I think that I think that Gildarts could fit that just fine. And you could do some badass stuff with Gildarts before he goes out. I don't know. It's something that, again, it's just one of those things I've thought about a good amount, and I'm just other than that, who could fit the spot? who else could fit in the spot if you're like one of the characters in the guild has to get killed off? And who would be like a really good character to kill off that wouldn't be too detrimental to like what's going on, and at the same time still do a whole lot to kind of like build up some people? And then it's like, okay, you have, obviously it's going to affect Natsu, obviously it's going to affect Kana, obviously it's going to affect, you know, Gray, and really the guild overall, because Guild Arts is, you know, he's that powerful old guy that a lot of them look up to. So yeah, I think Guild Arts will get it before something like that if it does happen, because Guild Arts I think is like one of the last guys like at least out of the main cast we haven't gotten really any backstory for, because like we've got as much as we need from like Laxus and the Thunder Legion, Gray, Kana. Like I'm trying to think of just like, because we don't need anything else really from Big Slough and Freed or Evergreen. I think there's like their big thing that they have obviously is their dedication to Laxus, and we already got like how they met Laxus and stuff. So like I think theirs is already pretty solid. I think they're already in a pretty good spot that they don't really need to otherwise get like some big backstory. But like I think it's Guild Arts really is the just who still has the potential for like a backstory that we even want, because we're not going to be like, hey look guys, it's Lackey, or like, hey guys, it's as much as I like Alzak and Biska, I don't think anybody's going to give a shit if it's like, hey, we're going to get their backstories next week. There's some world building potential there just because we don't, they're from a different continent, but nobody's going to really be like, sweet. I mean, actually we got a little bit of Biska's backstory, like when she was Mulan Rogue. So at least there's that now that I think about it. Rax, I haven't watched One Piece since 2005 Toonami. Oh, jeez. That was a long time ago. The only thing in One Piece that can counter Julius's law is Eternity Operation. I guess that's true. Like if he's not, if they don't die from it, if they've got something, yeah, but then he can just chronostasis them. That is true though. If they don't have something that can make them unage, so time acceleration won't work on them. That is factual. I didn't think about that. Julius beats OP 1v1. Yeah, of course, all at the same time. Well, the thing about Julius, like I said, like because of his abilities, they're going to be one-shotting people. They're going to be hitting people, and they're going to turn to dust. And there is, like as just recently stated, a way to counter it with like the Eternity Operation or whatever it's called. But other than that, like what are characters going to do? It's just going to take one hit, and it's not the same as like Natsu throwing a punch. And he's got Hack's Fire, but it's time acceleration. It's time manipulation, and unless you have a way to counteract that ability, then you're fucked. And the only way that they can is this unaging ability that Law has with his fruit. So like unless you have that beforehand, and then he doesn't just kill someone like Law at the start, then it's over. GG. Like I said, it's what happens when you have really hacks things like time manipulation in your series. Like time manipulation is just one of those always good powers. Like it's not so crazy that like you have to try and wrap your head. Like Memento Mori is a broken hacks. Like it erases, it voids the concepts of life and death and just causes someone to cease existing. Something like that is like, what the fuck? Versus time manipulation. You're like, oh yeah, this dude can manipulate time. Like it's probably one of the more known general hacks. I think just because time space, you're able to work out a lot more without nearly as much of an explanation, because people know what time and space is. What would be time magic. Oh, making things either speed up or slow down and stuff. But yeah, other than that, like really, what is One Piece gonna do? Who do you think is the fastest character in Fairy Tail? I mean, really, it's going to be probably Fairy Heart Zeref. I mean, Zeref at that point had infinite magic. He can teleport. He can probably just be anywhere he wants. I mean, the only other person is obviously Space Between Time Acnologia. Outside of them, just like going into like not counting like broken, super at the very tip-top characters. Someone like Jalal. Jalal's always been really emphasized on his speed. He's always been depicted faster than Laxus, and Laxus is already a character who's always been shown to be really fast. Let's see. I wonder if Lucifer will be able to make mini black holes. I mean, he should be. He should be able to use that singularity spell. If Dante was able to use it, I don't know why he wouldn't be. It's his magic. In today's chapter... In today's chapter... Where was I? Today's chapter, Shiki literally ran away from some fire. Well, don't spoil stuff for me. Well, Shiki's not emphasized on durability, though. Shiki is not supposed to be set up like he's some durable guy. Shiki's agility and not getting hit. That's the difference. Like, Shiki isn't as durable or as, like, high and straight attack output as Natsu. But that's what Natsu and Slayer magic is always emphasized in. Like, Dragon Slayers especially, since the start, have always been emphasized on how durable they are. It's the highest... it's the highest trait of like a Dragon Slayer. It's their high level of durability. So like them not having as high while being at the same level is understandable, especially for Shiki, who that's not where his power even emphasizes on. Like we know what his power kind of focuses more on, and his power focuses more on is agility and like how fast he reacts and kind of like adapts to stuff. Like, his level of reaction is obviously really high up there. Merrick versus Yugi. Oh, dude, that was awesome. I always still like Yugi versus Kaiba. Like, Atema and Yugi dueling Kaiba in the Battle City semifinals. I always like that duel more. Just because it was way more of a... It was way more of, like, a well spread out duel. Whereas, like, Merrick was trying more just to get Raw out on the field and figure out how he can just... kind of more break Atem and Yugi's spirits through, dark magic stuff, penalty games and whatnot in a shadow game. I definitely think that, I still think the duel with Kaiba was better. I mean, they're both pretty badass. I mean, I love the Ragnarok ending, too. I think that was just really cool. Even if it was like, you just had this card out of nowhere. I mean, that happens a lot. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh! You can't write RNG. It doesn't work. Yu-Gi-Oh's more about the character's plot and the spectacle of the series way more than like trying to stick close to like the actual card game. That's one thing I think a lot of people miss as like the when they're getting into the show is that they're not trying to be like pinpoint onto like how the actual card game works. I think later series like Vrains especially, I don't remember like as much about like Arc 5 and stuff, but I know definitely Vrains and Sevens have been trying more towards, like, being accurate towards the series. Because, like, if you watch Yu-Gi-Oh!, like, original Yu-Gi-Oh!, and then you watch, like, you watch Dark Sided Dimensions, it was way more set towards, like, how the actual card game is in Dark Sided Dimensions. And, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! is way more, like, fast-paced combo strategy rather than, like, how slow the original format was. And I prefer the original format. I liked Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot more, just in the general idea when, like, there were no archetypes, when it was, like, you just find all these cards and you figure out a way to make them work together. I always really liked that. Nux explains why the GMG was his favorite arc perfectly. I really like the Grand Magic games. Definitely one of my favorites. But the overall arc, because I was thinking about this as well, while I was rewatching stuff in Sirius Island, I think the most commonly picked best arcs, like if you were to pick three, the majority ones people are going to pick are Sirius Island, Grand Magic Games, and Tartaros. I really like Alvarez too, but like the thing about the Grand Magic Games, I would say, is the hardest for it, because I think overall it was really fun. I really like the Grand Magic Games. I do think that, like, but in comparison to the other arcs, like Future Rogue is not nearly as intense, or he's not nearly as much of a fun villain as like Hades was, or Mardgear, or Zareth, Actologia. He was cool, but I like that he was like this secret boss switch near the end, but like he didn't have nearly as much of a kind of like flair and presence that like the other ones had. He was still really cool. That's the thing though I would kind of like definitely put it lower than like Sirius Island on my list, just because I love the ending for Sirius Island. I thought it was great. It's definitely one of the best endings. And obviously again Tartaros, and like Alvarez had a couple spots where it was a little bit shaky at because I think the pacing picked up, but I love like the ending for Zareth. I love that. I think Zareth's the conclusion to Zareth's story is one of the best parts in the whole series.
how would the whole Fairy Tail Guild do against the Gote 13 captains from Bleach? I mean, they would win. They would absolutely win. I mean, some of the characters in there, like, not only are you're running into just high offensive capabilities, you're running into a lot of hacks. Toshiro and Rukia are automatically made irrelevant by Gray. I know some people are going to, like, bring up some of, like, their freezing abilities and stuff. Here's the thing. I just want to put this out there. Gray, in real time, adapted to durability voiding ice. And durability voiding means they don't care. The ability doesn't care about what your stats are. It's going to just bypass them and go directly to do damage. And Gray was able to adapt to that in real time. Meaning, as long as Gray has the speed in order to react to an ice attack, even if it's way more powerful than him, then he can adapt to it and become immune. It literally just becomes down to speed at that point. And Toshiro's not going to do anything against, like, getting hit by, like, a Zeroth longsword, or if Gray pulls out, like, True Ice or something, that's over. Because they're going to make him more powerful, and then you run into people like Natsu. Natsu's flames alone can already kill most of them, because some of the captains are grotesquely more powerful than the other. Like, obviously, looking at Kyoraku, looking at, like, Kenpachi, because, like, none of the other ones, like, look at someone like Soifon. Soifon has her double hit hacks, but, like, other than that, like, she does not even come close to someone like Kenpachi or Kyoraku. Like, those are, like, obviously the upper level people. I think that the person they would have to look out the most for would be Mayuri. I feel like Mayuri would be the most dangerous for some of them. But they have Wendy, and I think Wendy should be fine at, like, dealing with all these debuffs as well. Like, it's definitely not like they just completely walk through them, but I don't think it's nearly as much of a fight as a lot of people would think, just because, like, the Fairy Tail Guild, on top of, like, having pretty strong levels of power, have a really high level of hacks too. Like, almost all the main characters have pretty good hacks, and especially now they have the White Witch on top of it. Now that I think about it, like, the White Witch, I think, should be fine at dominating them, because obviously everybody that she defeats, she gets control of, and then it's like, well, what are they going to do at that point? Like, she's going to just have, just knock out members of the 13 and then have them as minions. The numbers are also a little bit skewed too, because there's more. I guess we don't know the exact number of, like, the guild post the time skip into part 2, because it was like 140, I think, at back in the fighting festival, and then obviously a lot of people left during the 7-year time skip, so I can't really say 100%. But yeah, they're still gonna win. I mean, the overwhelming, like, difference in some of their hacks. Like, some of them, Kenpachi, definitely powerful, definitely hacks. But I think I see a lot of them just dying from Natsu's fire, like, in general. Like, the heat output from Natsu's fire is going to kill a majority of them. And Kenpachi, Kyoraku can't beat them all by himself. And Kyoraku, like, also I think is kind of hard because he's powerful. But his Shikai and Bankai don't seem like they would work well in a large group. They seem much more like set for, like, oh, you versus one other guy. Character is Shanks is a character that we barely know ever shows up, but when he does, everyone acts like he's saying "Come with Jesus." That's just how One Piece fans are, though. I'm sorry to any One Piece fans, but, like, they overhype everybody. A character could, like, show up and just, like, do some goofy pose, and then they're going to be like, wow, this is a badass character. Look at Goda. Wow. Like, it's definitely way more frequent, like, than any other. I was like, I think out of the, like, the general dragon designs, I was pretty hyped over. Like, and then, like, Godseed Alderaan, I was hyped. I'm trying to think of anybody, like, the people that in general just, like, I was like, oh, man, this is badass. Yada, yada. Kind of like my own personal hype. Like, the dragon designs, Suzaku, Suzaku's is definitely what I was like, man, this is fucking super cool. But who else? I know there's one other character. Oh, and members of Diablos, like Scoleon and Rice, I thought were both just really badass in design, and I really liked them from the get-go. But, like, Madmol, Kyria, Georg, I'm trying to think of any other characters that are new. I mean, I don't even think I like the White Witch's design, but I didn't, like, from day one to be like, yes, this is the best. I was just like, she's pretty cool, I like her. But yeah, One Piece fans can be like that. They'll like hype up essentially anybody. You could take like one of the giants from like East Blue, and they'd be like, "That's the GOAT, man." It's just like, man, that guy did something in like chapter 40 for like 2 chapters. Like, yeah, man, that guy was really cool then. Natsu versus Katakuri. Natsu's gonna kill Katakuri. Katakuri dies from Natsu's just radiating heat. That's GG. HDD, both anime and manga have been great. I'd argue One Piece has been better than the manga as of late. Oh, the One Piece anime. The anime is doing a lot more thanks to. I think part of it is Oda is really excited about Wano, and I think that fact has boosted up probably boosted up the budget, because it probably means a lot to him that they're doing a lot more, as well as I think that I think that his input as well is a bit higher in what's going on right now, which I think is nice. I like that. I like that the mangaka is clearly happy. He's clearly enjoying what's going on right now. So yeah, it's a win-win for everybody. They get good anime stuff, and then he gets his favorite arc seemingly done a lot better than previous arcs. What's going on, Jared Punch? How's it going, man? It's not at me. Some reason Alvida reminded me of Grunty from Banjo. Oh, I can see that. It's the shape. Funny thing, Manga Guild Art says the name Layla as possibly a character for Kana's mom. And asking about it, Mad Cannon said she's Lucy's. That'd be weird. I don't want that. I like the story of Lucy's parents. I don't want to believe that Layla was cheating on her husband. Because before Layla died, he seemed like a lot nicer of a guy. He just seems like somebody who probably got lost in the death of his wife, and then just got completely eaten up by his work. I don't think he's inherently. Oh, the new chapter is out, so I'll finish up the stream in a minute, and then get to talking about the new chapter. So I'll catch up with the chat, and then I'll get to finish up, and then get to talking about the new Eden Zero and the new Fairy Tale, and then I will upload them and then put them up so people can enjoy it. Where was I, though? I was gonna go look at that chapter you're talking about. Is it spelled the same as Layla? Because I didn't ever pay too much attention towards the random characters Guild Art's named. I don't think it's the same Layla. I don't think that would really fit into the story. I just think it'd be weird if it's Layla's been cheating on you this whole time. I don't like that. I'm hoping that would never be the case. I don't think it will. I don't think Hiro Mishima would do that. Is it? I'm trying to look. I don't see any Lilas. Sarah, Naomi, Claire, Frida, Marley, Liza. He says Eliza. Where does he say anything about Layla? I don't see anything about Layla. I know he says Cornelia because that's Kana's mom. But anyway, let me get back to the comments. I wanna get caught up, and then most votes in Luffy. And most votes were on. Was there some fight, a Luffy versus Natsu debate on Comic Vine? Comic Vine is pretty bad. Maybe Golder's backstory can be a spinoff. I'd like that a lot. Luffy and Natsu are downplayed by most people. I mean, yeah, but Natsu's obviously a lot stronger. I get in a lot of arguments with my brother about Luffy versus Natsu, and I personally believe Natsu curb stomps him. Yeah, I mean, Natsu's been beating deities and gods. Luffy almost lost to a dude in his 40s that lives with his mom that's all sticky. Natsu's fought way bigger opponents, absurdly bigger opponents. I think Makarov will stay alive for the next series. Makarov needs to die comfortably and happily of old age. And he needs to just rest so he stops getting mixed up in everything this far into his life. Yeah, anybody who thinks Luffy can beat Natsu is full of shit. Natsu's so much more powerful, it's not even close. Yeah, Deku's got levitation style fighting. His doesn't seem super fast. Asta was flying around like he was on a jet. Current Deku versus current Asta. Asta completely dominates him. What's he gonna do? Which Queen arc stomps? Asta stomps all of my hero. Definitely most of it. I don't know about all of it, just because certain hacks and certain feats, obviously, that came later. Obviously, Prime All Might and stuff with Tamura. Like he's still really hacks. I agree with its current versions, Wano and 100 Years Quest. And I saw Natsu high diff till we see how Luffy's eternal haki. That Luffy's eternal haki, like his Ryu, his advanced armament haki, it's not gonna matter against Natsu. Are you kidding me? Natsu can kill Luffy from just the heat that comes off his fire. Like Natsu's level of just heat from just his previous in Fire Dragon King mode was enough to vaporize like a lake that was like 50 miles wide. Luffy's getting the shit kicked out of him. Luffy can't compete with him. And then Natsu puts on Dragon Force, that's over. Like, I don't even think that, like, Fire Dragon King mode is already, going to stomp Luffy in the ground. Dragon Force, and, like, Luffy just dies from looking at him. Like, you can like Luffy more than Natsu, but there's absolutely no doubt that Natsu is more powerful. Like, you look at everything wrong with Yu-Gi-Oh! By saying, I don't want to do that. That'll bother me. Because one of the things he'll probably bring up is, like, plot device cards and stuff. And, like I said, I understand they like the duels. A lot of the time, they'll be like plot device cards, and they don't play certain cards the same way as their effects that are in the actual card game in real life. Like I said, I don't think that was the point. It was more of the spectacle, and I think that the fact that it started to really focus way more around the cards themselves and the product, that they started to play more towards the accurate version of the card game, because it probably works more with like dedicated players rather than kids who are just watching it on Kids WB or some shit. Natsuhara and Shiki combined, attack damage, getting sliced, burned, and crushed at the same time. What? What are you talking about? Haruka do the same. Oh, I don't know. This isn't me. This is also not at me. Also not at me. Good. More stuff not at me. I can catch up. He didn't bring up Luffy's speed. I mean, Luffy's attack power is not multi-continental. Absolutely not. That is not true. Absolutely not. Like Luffy, like character, people want to circle jerk certain feats, like the Whitebeard feat, but at the same time, like he couldn't even fully destroy the island he was on. And they've already seen like admirals and stuff. Their level of feats have been consistent, like messing with fairly sized islands. So Luffy is not multi-continental. That's silly. Oh, that My Hero fan. They're always pissed off about something. Says Luffy. Yeah, Luffy is not multi-continental. Right, how do you feel about the My Hero? I mean, so any of the bad My Hero fans, though, go to the Boku no Hero side. They're silly. It go either way between Luffy and Natsu. 100 Years Quest. No, it would not. Current Natsu would fucking destroy Luffy. That's not a fight. Natsu would body Kaido. Are you kidding? Natsu would completely body Kaido. He would put him in the dirt. Like, Fairy Tail power levels are so drastically above One Piece power levels. People can like whichever one they prefer. They can like One Piece more, they can like Fairy Tail more. But if you want to talk about power levels don't, like, it's not an opinion based. When you look at, like, what characters in, like, One Piece, like, look at, like, what Kaido's, like, casual, like, blowing up a castle with his heat breath. That's stuff that people in Fairy Tail have been able to do for a long time. I mean, like, look at Irene. Casual Irene is, like, messing with biomes and warping landscapes of countries and pulling meteors from deep space. Like, the gaps between, like, what a big character in One Piece is and a big character in Fairy Tail is immense. I mean, like, you look at, like, Whitebeard. Whitebeard was the strongest man in the world. And his power, like, from what made him at the top, he just hits really hard with these shockwave punches. And then look at Zeref. Look at Acnologia. Look what big deal in their world is. Zeref is this multiple century immortal, cursed by God, creator of life and calamity. And then Acnologia, a living embodiment of the apocalypse, who just, anytime he goes anywhere, the possibility of him going somewhere, people leave because they don't want to run into him because they'll die. Like, the gaps and power between the two series are immense. And then obviously you bring hacks into account. Like, Natsu's gonna destroy Luffy so bad. He literally stands there. The heat doesn't even have to touch Luffy. He's gonna die. Bleach characters are stronger. Come on, dude. Halichius alone was enough to destroy a parallel dimension. No, it was not. If you talking about the Hell arc, the one from the movie. Like, no. Some people are silly when it comes to, like, Bleach stuff. You've seen the Bleach consistency. Like, saying he's gonna destroy a dimension. One, you have to figure out how big the dimension is. You can't look at something like how the Spirit King could destroy their dimension, but that's because he was part of the pillar. He's part of what kept it up in the first place. It's a completely different scenario if it's done through very specific means. On top of, like, you need to know aspects about them in the first place, as well as there has to be consistency with, like, how they're going. We already saw Aizen and Ichigo and stuff being transcended, and they didn't do anything even close to that. And then, like, you had to be like, with the Spirit King absorbed to even mess with whole dimensions the way that you're describing. It's not. Like, I think that, you know, like, Zeref and Acnologia were, you know, at certain levels like that, but I don't think anybody that just says something, that's like saying, oh, well, Marin Hollow, because he says something about dimensions, he's just gonna, like, run out and be like, well, sorry, Juha, you don't get powers today. It's like, no, there are limits to character statements and, you know, all these fallacies. Which are my favorite fairy tale arc? Tartaros. What's up, Rex? It's been a while. What's up, Uri, right? How's it been going, man? Natsu strong enough to one-shot a god. Yeah, Natsu one-shot a god. Bleach Stomp's fairy tale? No. Zeref is too powerful. Zeref could collapse their timeline and just completely undo anything. Like Yacha's power to go between timelines is cool, but Zeref can undo them. Zeref can undo timelines. He can steal people's powers. He literally ripped something that was infinite out of somebody's body. Juha dies. The main cast is pretty much anyone relevant to Gajil could one-shot that god. I mean, yeah, but what is that compared? Like, the strikes that Ikusa Tsunagi did were like things Mihawk does. Keep that in mind. Mihawk would be on level with somebody that, from feats, would be fodder to current levels in Fairy Tail. Like, they're just more powerful. Hiramashima has always just done higher power levels. It's not a big deal. Some series are more powerful at each other. I mean, look at something like Toriko. Toriko got, like, Rush End, and it's still, like, one of the stronger series that Shonen Jump has ever put out. Same thing with Medica Box. Some series are just more powerful than the other. I mean, Black Clover is already more powerful than most Shonen Battle series. It's only, like, a little over 5 years old. And speaking of Dragon God Alderaan, not the small god of war, once Natsu decided to kill. Yeah, he went for the kill. He killed his ass. I mean, it was a bit of weakened one, but yeah, definitely Ikusa Tsunagi, though, still. Some random giant from East Blue. It's true, though. Like, One Piece fans will hype up any character One Piece like they're fucking... like they're gonna show up and become Jesus. Like, people talk about Senior Pink, and then it's just like, that guy's backstory was okay, but he's annoying looking, and he's kind of dumb and too silly. Makarov should have died in Alvarez. Makarov should have died a couple of parts, but I like that he survived, because, like, it's kind of comedic. He's always like that old guy who thinks he's not going to make it, and then always makes it. The Digimon 2020 rebooted type. I need to get caught up. I saw a picture of Mega Kabuterimon. Well, obviously, 100% Alderaan was too much for Natsu. Natsu's getting there. The fact, though, he was able to fight a weakened God Seed and beat him, it's still, like, he's still closing up in range. Like, he's still growing and becoming way more powerful. I definitely want to see what he's going to be like in this arc and see what his plan is here. Natsu can take a Rymel. I don't know what that is. Guild Zero agreed. Not at me. Can Natsu eat Hiei's Darkness Flame? Yeah, easily. Jacob survived Natsu's heat. He lost, though. The only reason certain characters survive stuff like that is because of the fiction that they're in. Like, keep in mind that something like the characters in the Grand Magic games after the time skip, when Natsu was literally melting the stadium, he had to be putting out a level of heat enough to melt stone and metal, and people weren't, you know, just burning up and dying. That's only because it's of the medium of the fiction. And in obvious real life, they'd be burnt the fuck up. I mean, that's like, it's something, again, Zoro. Like, why doesn't Zoro cut people in half when you've seen, like, how powerful sword sliders are? It's just the fiction that they're in. Like, obviously, like, in reality, most of the people that Natsu would beat would be burnt and dead. But he doesn't go for the kill a lot, and Hiromishima's not going to draw Natsu, like, burning a bunch of random civilians to death. Goku versus Natsu. Well, obviously, Goku's more powerful. Anti-magic is not magic. It's stated, yeah, I know. People have been on about that for a while. I believe Luffy's multi-continental. Luffy is not multi-continental. Luffy has 0 feats to suggest multi-continental at all. There's not a single thing that he has that would say like he's even close to this level. The only thing that I've seen is somebody did like some circle jerk version trying to get air pressure out of King Kong gun as it moved like a couple city blocks of rock after punching Doflamingo in it. It's silly. Doesn't make any sense. Some people though just will do anything to get upgrades. Goku versus Natsu was even close. I mean, yeah, like why would Natsu fight Goku? Goku just blow up the planet or something. Whitebeard stayed by Kaido to be holding back, and he wouldn't destroy the. He was bloodlusted though when they killed the Ace. He was trying to destroy them. None of his attacks were ever shown to be like world-shaking or continental. Like Marineford was a small island. And even when we saw him pissed off and he did those like cool like water layers around the island, like that's still not something like multi-continental. He is not multi-continental. There's no feats in One Piece that would suggest multi-continental for any characters. It's silly. Natsu would absolutely kill Kaido. He would maul the fuck out of Kaido. Are you kidding? Kaido is just, it's not a big deal. Like, it's just power levels. Like, some series just have higher power levels than others. Let's see. I'm trying really hard to catch up. Okay, Irene was a glass cannon. No, she wasn't. Irene, so here's the thing about Irene, though. Irene was not a glass cannon. She was only able to get cut because of Wendy giving Dragon Slayer enchantment onto Urza's sword that was already increased from the explosion of the meteor. But like when she does it, like beforehand, when it was just a sword, Irene straight tells her that being able to destroy the meteor doesn't mean she's going to be able to get through her scales. Meaning her scales are stronger than what the meteor is capable of. So, like, she's absolutely not a glass cannon. Maybe mentally, like in her head, like she's clearly crazy. But Urza's a bit OP in her own right. No, she's not a glass cannon, though. Rex, do you really hate Mira? I don't hate Mira Jane at all. I love Mira Jane. The thing, though, is that some people hype up Mira Jane to be above Gray, which is absolutely not true. Mira Jane is nowhere near Gray. Like, I would love for Mira Jane to get a good fight this within the 100 Years quest, but I think it should be somebody that it would make sense to be at her level. I don't think Scullion should be fighting Mira Jane on equal footing. Mira Jane would have to have some drastic power-up increase in order to do that. Scullion, as one of the Dragon Eaters that we've seen, is going to be more powerful. Like, Kiria was still fairly damaged by Urza, as well as Natsu, or as well as Mad Mole took damage from Natsu. But they still both were able to keep fighting after that and got up. And that alone, like, is more than Mira Jane can do. Like, Mira Jane can't match Urza's Dragon Slayer sword. She can't match Natsu's Demolition Fist or his Purgatory. It's not happening. It's absolutely not happening. I would like her to get an opponent. If they brought out, like, oh, this is a Dragon Eater of, like, a lower level, like, then sure, that would make sense for her to fight. Or, you know, some character that I believe would be within the vicinity of, like, how strong she is. I'd be okay with that. But I just don't like the idea of Mira Jane getting a fight against somebody that I'd really make sense for her to contend with. Do you feel that some Black Clover characters are continental? No, not at the moment. Shouldn't Urza be the only dragon? Wait, shouldn't Urza be the only true Dragon Slayer? She's literally the daughter of a biological dragon, so next to slay dragon. Natsu's killed dragons too. I mean, look at Acnologia, look at now Alderaan, look at Animus. Natsu's killed dragons before. And she didn't really kill Irene. Like, obviously Irene killed herself. And Urza has dragon slaying abilities through Wendy. She's not the same as, like, an actual Dragon Slayer. Because obviously Dragon Slayer, when they're referring to it, has to do with the magic. She's not fighting. Wait, Urza's OP, but she's not fighting the god tiers like Dragon Slayer Natsu or Dragon Gods Natsu, Augustine. Yeah, I mean she's strong, but she's not able to compete with them yet. And then like full out because she beat like her and Wendy fought Irene and were able to contend with her. But obviously, like if Irene was crazy for one. Urza, if she didn't have Wendy's help, wouldn't have won. And if it wasn't for the fact that Irene was so mentally unstable and her sane side was able to get out on the surface for a moment, then she would have, Urza would have lost and been full dead. We don't know if Dragon Slayer is genetic, since Kana does not have Guild Arts' magic. What? It's not genetic. The only idea would be if while a dragon that she, like Urza was born with some form of dragon abilities, because at that point it wouldn't be dragon based, it would be because dragon slaying magic permanently alters, your physiology. It alters your body. Something like that, but she was conceived before she became a dragon fully, so Urza should just be a normal human, I would imagine. Maybe like with a level of power that can adapt, that can reach a dragon, because she, she grew up in a dragon womb, but I don't know. I think that with the anti-magic, make a power that contradicts the character, Asta character image-wise and his physical strength, stamina, it's not magic. Yeah, Asta is way more Asta's is focused on his capability that he's obtained with them, plus what he already does on his own. It's not just like he just got anti-magic and he's good. Makes sense for Urza to be one. I mean, she's adjacent. You're wrong about that, but I had to debate you. I don't care to debate Bleach power scalers. They inflate everything. I don't care. I honestly don't care. I mean, like, again, Zeref collapses the timelines. He resets them. GG. Yeah, Natsu beats Kaido, but Luffy is multi-continental. No, he's not. Luffy is not multi-continental. Show me one feat in One Piece that's multi-continental. There isn't. The closest thing that people have is they completely ignore the to scale sizes of a map to try and get some phantom distance between how far the Quake's Whitebeard maid had to travel in order to shake islands that were off in the distance. They completely ignore the idea of having something to scale, come up with some fake speed for a boat, and then try and look at like a tectonic level that it would have to be in order to perform that. It's not, and there's no feat to really push it. And not only to that when he shook the islands that he was directly on, made those big water platforms, that his level of consistency with what we've seen other characters like the admirals and what they've done is consistent to like below that, but not so far below that. He's not multi-continental. Absolutely not. There's nothing to push that. Mira's cool, but like Mira I hiccuped when I was trying to say that, so I gotta say it 3 times. Mira fans are just really dedicated. Like Mira Jane, why do I keep saying Mira? Mira Jane fans just won't give up on the fact that she's been here from the start. She's very likable. She has a very good design. She has a very good personality and everything. But like she very rarely gets to do anything. And Mira Jane fans just are hungry all the time, waiting to get some stuff. Bloodlusted Wendy, dude, I love Bloodlusted Wendy. It'd be badass. People say Mira is weaker than Lucy. Mira is weaker than Lucy in terms of magical quantity. She is not weaker in terms of like her damage output. But in a 1v1, I think Lucy can outlast her. I think Lucy has a much larger arsenal. She's smarter. She's more tactical. And I think that she should be just fine having a Gemini make a copy of her, because we already know that Lucy's magical quantity level should be high enough to do that, because Mira Jane never put up the same kind of like struggle against a Spriggan. Like Mira Jane fought Jacob, who nerfed himself, that didn't use stealth, that didn't use transport, and was already damaged from his fight with Natsu. Like Lucy, even if Brandish was holding back, still did a pretty good job. And like I think now, like if you really put Lucy and Mira Jane against each other, Lucy can just outlast her. Lucy's smarter than she is. I mean, Chopper, Orihime, Wendy, Sakura. I don't know. Probably. I guess let's first arc. I mean, first arc, they can't really do anything. Probably Wendy, I guess, because like she has a roar, but that's really the only thing that any of those characters like are going to be rolling up with. Most of the fights, Urza needs enchantments. Yeah, Urza needs the buffs. Well, that's the thing I'm hoping, though, for Urza's arsenal. I'm hoping she gets enchanted swords from each member of the guild. I think that'd be really cool for Urza's style, because they don't kind of be like they're always fighting with her. I think that'd be badass. Plus, it'd be really complimenting on Urza's story and stuff. I want Wendy to absorb Cobra's venom, the Wind of Death. If she's gonna get like a double, though, yeah, I guess like Cobra's is like the only other thing. Other than that, like, because I think Stings would be cool, Rogues would be cool, but like it would have to be one that kind of like makes sense. You could probably do it with Cobra, because Cobra, we saw in the Gajeel spinoff that Cobra does have a soft spot in helping kids, because obviously Cobra grew up as a slave child. So, he'd probably be a lot nicer to Wendy than I think he would be to most people. And then maybe you could have like a cool moment where they do that. I'm all right with it, but I don't think Wendy's going to get a hybrid form. I think that hybrid forms are kind of like, so far back that it's like, why even have like a new one? I think Wendy should just focus on her enchants instead. I wish Natsu actually controlled and bent fire more. Well, he's not supposed to be like a firebender. He's a dragon. Like he puts his element on himself and then he attacks. That's how the Slayer magic works. It's very straightforward, but obviously very powerful. I'm gonna catch up and then I'm gonna call it good. Mission goes. I haven't read that yet, but I'm gonna. Luffy defeating Don Shinjo. That doesn't mean anything. Here's the thing. I'm just gonna tell you this right now. Go feet. He doesn't split the whole thing. He doesn't even cut it that deep. You can see mountains off in the distance are unaffected by it. It's not a whole continent. He's not destroying the whole continent. Even if he literally split it from one end to another, he's only splitting it in half. That's not the same as destroying the full thing. Like, literally go outside. Like, this is like the equivalent if you cut a pizza in half, aside from eating the whole pizza. Like, cool, you cut it in half, but it's still there. You didn't eat the pizza at all. Like, if you said, man, I can eat a whole pizza on pizza level, and then you just picked it up and you ate it all, it's like, damn, you actually can. Versus, like, if you just cut it in half, like, hey, I defeated the pizza, it's like, it's still there. You didn't do anything to actually get rid of it. You're not really getting the level of power that you think is. It's like if somebody cut a mountain in half, it's not the same thing as being mountain level. I mean, you could probably come up close. It really depends, obviously, the size of the mountain and the level of fissure you put into it. But Luffy never did that. You never saw the same level, or not Luffy, Shinjo. The feet isn't the same thing. He literally just split it in half without even splitting all the way down. He split like 40 feet. Like, it's not continental at all. That feet is not continental. That is silly. Yeah, I'm pizza level. I guess I ate half a pizza yesterday and then I ate the other half today. Because that's usually what I do on, like, Fairy Tail chapter times. It's like I usually have a pizza as the super, the best, like, easy meal I think everybody loves, just a pizza. And just super ground level, easy to make, always enjoyable, as long as I don't burn it. Except that one time I got a deformed pizza where, like, it somehow, like, I don't know, it's on my Twitter somewhere. In the box, I think before it, like, cooled down or something, it, like, got pushed on one side, so it looked like it got squished and then froze that way. It sucked. It was a very sad day for me. But, yeah, like, it's not the same thing, man. It's absolutely not the same thing. And then again, like, it doesn't go that deep. It doesn't split that big. It's not nearly multi-continental. It's not even close. Like, if you just ran the calculation, you also don't even know how big that continent, the ice continent even is. Like, you don't know where he split. Did he split dead in the center? Did he split off on the side? Is it like a perfect square? Like, what is this? What is the shape of it? What's the size? What's the dimensions of this landmass that he apparently split? I will not debate. I'll not debate Seth. Like, I don't know who Chuck is, but Seth, I don't know where the fuck he gets his information. I don't want to argue with him. I don't know him. I've never interacted with him, but, like, I've seen some of his videos, and, like, when he's, like, has faster than light or I think it was like multi-country or like continental All Might, I was just, no thanks, not doing it. Add I'm pizza level to your about section. I am pizza level. That is factual. But I have to push myself. I have to surpass my limits now. I used to be able to eat a full pizza no problem. And then just, like, I didn't eat nearly as much. Like, I tried to I don't want to be one of those guys who's like, I'm eating healthy now. I was like, I'm going to eat slightly healthier. Which is just like, instead of a large french fry, if I stop by McDonald's on the way home from work or something, I'm like, I'll get a medium. Slightly less. It's slightly more healthy. But, like, that's essentially how it was for me with the pizza. Like, I think my stomach just shrank. I used to be able to, like, completely no diff a pizza. I'm out of it. Well, I guess I had some chicken wings, too, but still. I guess I usually have, like, a pretty bro meal, like, before chapter, like, the night of chapters. I usually have a pizza and some chicken wings or something. Naruto versus Yusuke? Naruto. Naruto's got a way better arsenal. Yusuke doesn't have, like, any hacks either. I mean, especially in, like, today's kind of, like, area, like, characters generally have some good hacks. And, like, during that whole era, like, Yusuke doesn't really have hacks. Like, Goku does. Well, Goku has Hakai now. But, like, he was just all raw power, and then he got something. Like, Luffy finally got some hacks with the advanced armament hockey. Luffy versus Mira is debatable. I'd say, yeah, it's definitely debatable. Like, I don't think either of them can just kind of run through each other anymore. But, like, the thing is with Lucy is Lucy doesn't focus on hard, raw stats. Lucy, like, the biggest things about Lucy is she's smart. She has a very high volume of magic because she's had S-class levels of like, just, like, magic quantity since Grand Magic Games. And the utility of her keys. Lucy is not the same as someone like Mira Jane, who Mira Jane is a buff, power output kind of character. She's physical strength, big energy attacks, movement. Like, she's just an all-around classic war kind of buff style fighter, whereas Lucy is not. Lucy's more tactical. Current Natsu burns Katakuri, absolutely. Absolutely, it's not even debatable. Jacob got destroyed by Mira. That was Jacob already hurt from his fight with Natsu, still recovering, eyes closed, not using stealth, not using transport. And it was done more in a comedic way. It was more of a gag feat than a real feat. For a gag fight than a real fight. It's not the same thing. I mean, it's very much not even close to the same thing. And I think anybody that can just look back at the fight and look at like Natsu versus Jacob versus Mira Jane, it's like, no, it's not the same thing. Like, and not only that, like, the Spriggan are already above anybody Luffy's ever really fought. Like, Kaido is just durable. Kaido is just, hey, I'm big and durable and I'm strong. Kaido doesn't have anything really to worry about when it comes to, like, his hacks. He doesn't really have anything to worry about when it comes to just a sheer level of frightening ability. Like most characters in Fairy Tail can just beat him with hacks alone. Like, put Evergreen in front of Kaido. She'll look at him, he'll look back at her, and then fucking stone. She wins. I don't know if people can hear my snaps. I'm not very good at snapping. Trying. But anyway, Lucy would destroy Mira. I don't think she would destroy her, but I think she would win. But like, I don't think it'd be as one-sided just because you have a high offense character and a character who's more of like a intelligent, strategic person. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up because I want to get to these reviews. I want to read the new chapters and talk about them. Anyway, yeah, thanks everyone for showing up. I hope everyone had a good time. We went for about 2 hours, pretty solid length. So I think that we'll go back to normal Saturdays for now. If I end up changing to do it on Tuesdays, I'll bring it up. I feel like Tuesdays is a pretty solid day, and if I end up getting my schedule to the way I want it, to where I can do Tuesdays as my work day instead, or my stream day instead, then I can take Friday or Saturday to do more of like videos, because I've been slacking. I've been meaning to get on that Jalal versus Laxus video, and then I want to do an Alderaan video to put out. But anyway, thanks everyone for showing up. I hope everyone shows up. It's not that Mira Jane is weak. It's just like Lucy has come a long way, and you can really look at like all the ways she's progressed and advanced. And we know Satan's Soul is not one that you can. Satan's Soul is not something that just like she can spam as much as like Requip. It takes more magic to do a takeover, but it seems to last a long time. Whereas like Lucy, I think Lucy with like her level of strategy and hers is where she is centered around having a large quantity of magic that she can contend with that. Like, she's also very smart. She's definitely closer to like the middle area right now. What generation of Slayer would you be? I want to be a second gen. Right now I'd go either first or fifth. I'd like to go either the OG classic one or get rid of the motion sickness problem. Plus, I think original is really the best one. I don't think really anyone can really argue against that, because obviously the thing with 5th gen that'd be hard is their Dragon Force seems to be like, you go in, you might not come out. But anyway, other than that though, I hope you guys have a good night. Kaido is a dragon. Yeah, but Kaido's a pretty lame dragon. Kaido's design is pretty okay. It's not very... I'm hoping for his hybrid. I think his hybrid design is really going to be where his badassness is. Lucy had come a long way, but she's done better than Mira Jane, though. Her fight against Brandish, even with Brandish holding back, is still better than anything Mira Jane's ever really done. Wendy keeping up with Irene is better than anything that Mira Jane's ever done. But anyway, I'm going to end it because I don't want to argue anymore about this. I'm going to end it because I got those two reviews I got to do.